we are going to create a CRUD, create, read, update, delete with coordinator. We already created a CRUD with PHP, simple PHP. Now we are going to start a CRUD with coordinator. We will get a good idea about MVC architecture after completing this program. First of all, we saw a controller. When we just installed it, we got a controller called welcome.php, and we created a view like welcome message in from views folder like this load views folder. Now for CRUD, we have to connect things to database, and we have to take data or insert data into the database. So we have to create a database. For that, I just created a database called CODEIGNITER class, and I am going to insert some data into it. I have a file for easy implementation. We can create a database table like this. We can simply open the database and we can select SQL and we can paste the data here, paste the table details inside here, or we can create a table like a create table creation method also, normal table creation in PHP MyAdmin. Now we have a table with the ID, username, password, and email users table, and just clicking OK, so that we will get the structure of the table like this. Username, password, and email. Now the next step is we have to connect this database to coordinator, like username, root, host name is there, no password, and database name is coordinator class, so that it will get connected to the MySQLi coordinator class database. After this, we are going to create a starting controller of our CRUD. We can create a controller like this. There are some standard things which we need to create a controller. We can do same as like a welcome.php. We can simply do like save as welcome.php. Our controller name we can give as users.php. This controller is not needed. Anyway, we can create any name we like, but it is better to create give a user controller or so, like that also, because it may be a little bit easy for us to identify the controller or model, if you are giving that name also with it, or normally in controllers we will just give the simply users, so that is much better. So we created a users controller. Inside it, we have to change the name. The first letter should be capital, and the name should be. We should not forget to change the saved name, previous name. Then it will extend coordinator controller, CA controller. And one more important thing we have to do is, normally we need a helper called URL. We can do it like, and always we will have a constructor for getting details from CA controller, the parent details. For parent class initialization, we will have a a constructor in coordinator controller or in model also, so that we will get the details of the parent things while we are extending parent initialization things. Normally a constructor is using for first initialization of a class. For the in the starting time, if we want to initialize some data in a class, we can use constructor. So simply we can avoid this section, because by extending everything we will get everything from the previous controller, but this normally for initialization things we can use this constructor also for getting some initialized data from CA controller. The important thing is like we have to call this helper function like URL for doing some URL functions, for getting some URL functions in coordinator. I will show that the working of this helper file. Uh, then here we have to do something in the index page. Now it was the previous one. I'm just commenting it. So in our users.php controller, we have an index function already. We can create one if it is not there. Index function. Uh, Now, first of all, what we are going to do is inside CRUD we can create a function for calling a form or in adding a add user function in which we are calling a view called add form for inserting data in CRUD. For this, we have to create an add form in views. I already have that data in my hand. I can simply copy this. We will get this type of models, no, this type of views if we are searching, or we can change anything if we have in our hand such a views. Normally designers will do this for us. Where is the place where we create views? It is in the views folder. We already have welcome message. We can simply save it as save as add form .php. Inside this I am creating this view. Here we have all these details like username, password, email ID and a submit button and a form with the action. We have to give the action. Then we have to give this coordinator. We are giving the uh, bootstrap also for styling. And there is one important thing like base URL. This base URL is this one. If you are running this coordinator, this is the base URL. Normally the domain name. So coordinator gave a simple functionality for function for referring this base URL. This base URL is a function inside this helper URL. Helper URL. If we are not calling this helper, this base URL will not work. I will show the use of base URL. Uh, Simply we can see like the back button is, this is the back button. It is simply going to the base URL. So I will show that the URL linking using this. So here, what is our controller name? Users. So that we can call that controller using users. No need for giving capital letter users. So that we will get that controller with index function. Here I didn't give that in index function. I just gave it in a add user function. So I have to give that function name also. Now CODEIGNITER users is the controller name. Users controller, oh sorry, spelling mistake, users. So we'll get to that coordinator form, and this back URL will go to look into the bottom line slash coordinator. It will go to the coordinator section with that base URL. We have to give that users here. Users, it will not take anything because index page index function didn't do any functionalities, just a blank page. Then after this we have, for working this section we have to call add user. So we will get to the form like this, and once we submit this form, we have to give an action for this form. For that we have to give a this section action with this base URL to a corresponding uh, action inside the controller. Like we are going to insert function or add user. After this, we have to insert the data which we got from this form. So we can create a function called insert inside the controller, user's controller. So I am going to create a function called insert or maybe insert user. Insert user. What is the purpose of this insert user function? We have to accept each and every data from this form. Like in normal PHP, we will take the data using $post username, password, email, like that. Here in coordinator, we are taking data using just echo that the data which we are taking. This refers to the current uh, class. This input input of this, we are getting the input from the form and we are redirecting to insert user. I just gave that insert there. We have to change it to insert user. Insert user. Now I am accepting the data from input post. We are using post method, so normally it will use post, then our details like username. Data we have to take from the form fields. Password, email. I think all these things like password and email. So if we are taking the data, uh, insert user, maybe some spelling mistake or insert user. It went to insert user but didn't display the data. Yeah, that is why it went to insert user function. Mm, this input to post. Insert user, maybe spelling mistake, capital, small letter, and print. So if you are submitting this, it is not going to the insert user. Oh, sorry, we have to give that controller name also here. The controller name is users slash insert user. No need for capital letter also. So when we are submitting this, I didn't go to that class. We have to add the data again. We didn't give any validation. So simply when we are submitting this, we got the data, code everything. Three data we got. So we got the data in the controller. Now we saw how we display a view, and next section we saw how to take the data from submitted from views form in back into our controller inside another function after submitting an action into it. So we got some data. We just encode the data now. We are just taking the data into an array like this. into users array with some names like username, same way, username, password, and email. We are catching the data for our some other purpose. We have to save it to database. So we have to uh, catch the data. As we already saw in query builder class, like we are saving the data in an array for inserting the data into the database. For inserting data, we have to call a model. So we have to create a model. Now I am just writing how to insert the data. $this. We have to call a function in the model. I am going to a model with the name user model, and I am going to write a function inside model called insert user or insert data or anything like that. Insert data. Then inside that I am giving the details like user. So we have to create a model now. I'll just show. We can simply save this like users. It's better to give the name like model, and we are going to save it in models folder. Users model. Here also model is a collection of functions for doing data manipulations into database in database. Here we have to change the name of model like users model. Extend CI model. It will extend the parent class model. And we have to create functions here. The first function we are going to create is insert data. For inserting data in model, we will get to the data. We are sending the data from controller. We will take the controller, users controller. We have to send the data, array data from the controller to model for inserting into the database. So we have to exactly write the parameter which we send in the function which we called from the controller, and we have to define that in the model. Then only that data will get uh, reach into the model. So inside model, I am going to write the query with the query builder class. We are writing the query like this: $this db. db is the database class which generated when we gave the database credentials in this class, in this file. So it will automatically take this db, and it will do the query builder class methods like we already saw the insert like this, the table name. Hope you have covered this section. Users, table name users with the data users. The data is $users. Any data, anything which we got from the model, the controller, like user or users, anything, any name we can give here. It will refer this variable. So it may be user or users. So this will insert the data, and simultaneously we can send a return to the controller so that we can check whether that data inserted or not. So insert is the function, query builder class function. So we will get the data inserted into the database table. So let us check. We have some errors like user model. One more thing we have to do is we have to call this model in the controller, like this load model, the model name is users model, then only users model. This is the name reference of the model, so we have to give the same name here also, users model, like this, otherwise it won't get take the user model. This should be same name. This can be capital letter or small letter, that is there is no restrictions here. The spelling should be, or the name should be same. So we can give like this too also. So in the users model we'll get the result. Here insert user, we don't know what happened because we didn't display any return data. Just check insertion. Once again let us check how to get the data. Add user form displayed. We are giving some details, username, password, like this, and we are sending the data. Let us find the issue. Insert data is the database name in the users model. Insert user. Here just the function is not there because the function name is different. It is insert data here in the user model, and here I am just writing insert user. You can simply change this. You can give same function names here also. Insert user. Otherwise insert data. So we can change it as insert data. Now it will call that function. Now to just do it again. We are calling the add user. Uh, cannot redeclare users model insert data in line number 33. Okay, it was the insert data previously. There is no, it is not possible to write same function names twice in a class. So insert data is here. The calling add user. Here again, once again, undefined property users DB. So one more thing we have to do. We have to call the database also here. For this, we can do like this load DB. Either we can call here or we can use a file called a config auto load. Here also we can give the database name in database library. database. We can just give this. Otherwise, we cannot. We won't get the database connection. So then only this database will load into the model. Now we are taking this. We simply got the data inserted. So insertion section, like a view, calling a model, connecting to database, and inserting data into uh, the uh, database using model, with the displaying data and taking data from the form into the controller. So the insertion create section of our code is completed.